Welcome back to Module 6 of this self-help program. We hope you're still keeping up with your sleep restriction. Keep in mind that this is the most important part of the treatment. Remember to maintain your sleep window and adjust it upwards by giving yourself 15 minutes earlier bedtime per week if you maintain a good sleep efficiency, around 85%. In this module, we will look at some common automatic thoughts that people with sleep problems often report. When we say automatic, we mean that these come to you without you making a conscious effort. They show up in your head and affect how you feel and how you act. That is, your behavior. The problem with many automated thoughts is that they can often be unrealistic, negative, and sometimes plainly wrong. And this is often the case if you've suffered from insomnia for a long time. Our automatic thoughts can be so, automated that it might be hard to notice that they're there in the first place. In this module, we want you to become familiar with some typical automatic thoughts. If you become aware of these, you can create a kind of buffer zone or filter where you can get the chance to think about and reflect on your automatic thoughts. In other words, you cannot choose your thoughts, but you can choose your reaction to your thoughts. The 8 thoughts we have selected in this program are based on both scientific research and clinical experience. But that doesn't guarantee that they'll fit with your perception. Please bear that in mind. Number 1. If I don't feel refreshed when I wake up, I need more sleep. If you've followed this program, then you'll know that this is an unfortunate thought. We've already introduced sleep restriction that advises you to get out of bed regardless of how you feel. It's very difficult for people to assess how much sleep they really need based on how they feel in the morning. This is because how you feel in the morning is affected by a lot of other factors. Perhaps most important is what sleep stage you were in right before you woke up. If the alarm clock rings while you're in a deep sleep stage, you'll feel far more sleepy than if you were in a light sleep stage. But this is really independent of your actual sleep need. If you want to learn more about sleep stages, we have attached an information text in the video description. Number 2. If I don't get enough sleep one night, it's important that I take back the lost sleep the following night. Here too, you see that this thought goes against advice you were given in the sleep restriction module, where you were advised not to make any sort of compensation, aka getting back lost sleep, if you've had a bad night. This is because you risk getting into a vicious circle where the compensation makes it harder to sleep the following night. Fortunately, our brain has a number of its own mechanisms that compensate for lost sleep. For example, sleep becomes more effective if we get less sleep than we need. Number 3. If I have difficulties falling asleep, it's important that I stay in bed and try hard. This thought also goes against the earlier advice. In short, we cannot force ourselves to sleep, and even worse, if we try this, it has a paradoxical effect where getting to sleep actually becomes more difficult. If you lie awake in bed for hours, you might also associate your bed with frustration and other negative feelings and thoughts. If that's the case, then it's much better to get up out of bed and find something else to do. Number 4. I'm afraid I'll lose control over my ability to sleep. The thought that you might be losing control over your ability to sleep can be very scary. In order to balance this thought, we need to look closer at the word control. In one way, we actually have no control over our sleep. For example, if a friend told you that you get $1,000 if you can fall asleep within 15 minutes in the middle of the day, then it's unlikely that you'll become any richer. But we can also flip this logic. It's easy to fall asleep quickly if we deprive ourselves of sleep. If you go long enough without sleep, you'll find it almost impossible to stay awake. Number 5. If I sleep bad one night, it will ruin my sleep pattern all week. To some, it's as if one bad night could ruin the whole week. And unfortunately, this can be quite true. If your sleep pattern is broken by a night of poor sleep, it's usually because you try to compensate, aka try to get back the sleep you lost. the next night or during daytime, which makes the problem worse. If you do not compensate but get up at your normal time, then one bad night will not spoil the rest of the week. Number 6. I need 8 hours of sleep to function the next day. This is a common thought among those who struggle with their sleep. And as previously mentioned, it's not that this is necessarily wrong, but rather it's unbalanced. On the one hand, we know that poor sleep leads to worse performance on many tasks, and that sleep is important for learning new information and abilities. On the other hand, we should not overestimate the importance of sleep. For example, you will be able to carry out most jobs even if you experience poor sleep. An exception here is jobs that involve driving or operating dangerous machinery. We have an experiment for you. Find a colleague, friend or family member you trust. Ask this person to be aware of how you work or behave, and don't tell them anything about your sleep. Can this person spot your nights with poor sleep based on your work performance or what you do at home? Can he or she spot poor sleep based on your appearance, given that everything else is similar? Try this experiment and evaluate yourself. You very well might be surprised at how unnoticeable your sleepiness is to others. Another perspective here is to see man as a part of nature. Our brains have been developed to function in an unpredictable world where one cannot expect to be safe and undisturbed for 8 hours each night. To keep us alive, we've developed a good tolerance for nights with poor sleep. So, in summary, we can say a little more balanced that yes, poor sleep is definitely unfortunate for both work and wellness, especially poor sleep over extended periods of time. However, our brains are really robust and you'll fall asleep easier if you experience a couple of nights with poor sleep, if you don't compensate, that is. In summary, you may now notice that many of the advice we provide in this sleep program is customized to avoid these issues. Remember to keep your sleep window and adjust as planned. Perhaps your sleep has already improved and you're starting to really like going to bed. If you haven't started sleep restriction at all, you should return to module 2 and 3 to get started. Good luck!